I apparently just as soon as it came up, it said it was already included. So, word, that
I'm gonna
works.
look at stats,
Um,
boys, of game one. See how this goes. I know it was a little hiccup, but I think everything's fine now. And game two should be smooth sailing. Um,
hopefully.
14 to 21. Victory goes to Free Charge Solus, 50-0. Um, nothing. Let's see, gear wise, nothing stands out too much. And they all look pretty basic to me.
Yeah, I do like Styx's Kelvin build. Um,
Yeah,
that's
that's interesting.
actually something you don't see often is the max shield after minion, but it gives you a free 98 flat on top of the percentage shield that you get anytime you chomp a minion.
See
Beyond
Oscar
that,
and Thorn out
yeah, I
damaging
think
Toby at the
pretty
end there.
standard.
That was a given because of sentry damage.
Yep, Floyder with about 14k.
Team 2 taking 100,000 more damage taken than Team 1. That's something
I think
noticeable.
it's worth noting that overall as a team, Mousetrap actually did more sentry damage. They had 40k, like over 40k sentry damage, whereas Free Shard of Souls only had 31k sentry damage. But that's mainly just due to them not attacking the shield.
Yeah, that shield kick
Like
recharging
the whole
fully.
soon as that shield goes down, they were keeping it down between Oscar and Thorn. You
Yeah.
saw Oscar jumping between garage and lane. You saw Thorn jumping between window and lane. Constantly just trading aggro, beautifully. Um,
23-minute game.
I think,
Uh,
yeah, I mean, was a
Miko
23-minute
is
game, and I
Miko
think,
is at 6 too. I didn't notice that. Miko didn't reach 7.
yeah, I mean, I don't even know that would have made that big of an impact. I think the biggest thing was that Mousetrap just didn't close out before 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, if you're running a Galt comp, you have to win in 15 minutes or you will get outscaled. It's just guaranteed. Because Galt's augments, like we were talking about it while the stream was offline, trying to figure out the kinks or whatever, that with Galt, like after you hit level 4, like every augment's just a nice bonus. He doesn't really get more powerful or have any like huge impactful power spikes after level 4. He just kind of plateaus. Like he keeps getting stronger, but he gets stronger at the same rate as minions are gaining health and Battleborn are gaining health and the other Battleborn are just gaining more damage and more utility, whereas Galt's just gaining little tiny bonuses. I think where the kills went in the early game could have also affected it a lot. Toby, we didn't see get a lot of the early game kills. A lot of them, like the kill confirms themselves, and therefore the big burst of XP were going to Galt and Shane. And on Free Shard of Solus, we saw that getting spread out evenly, and you really want those early game kills either going to Thorn or Eldragon, just because they need to ramp up earlier in the game. Whereas Oscar is gonna get his levels regardless. He's gonna be his baseline effectiveness is super powerful, and beyond that, I mean, I think the game kind of went exactly as we would expect. It was super bloody in the early game. Mousetrap had a huge advantage because they had the CC advantage, but they just got outscaled. Elvin hit level 6, and that was the huge turning point. As soon as that sub lasted a year and a half.
See Gala ban again. Same teams, Team 1 and 2. Team 1 Free Charge Solus, Team 2 Mousetrap. This time we see Mousetrap banning Kelvin, and then now Free Charge Solus banning Miko and Gal. So this should be turning out different. I think they're trying to aim for Galt here for Team 1.
I don't know. We might see Team 2 ban the Galt here, though.
Yeah.
I wish we could see the characters right now, but pretty much they'll either be banning Thorn, Oscar, or Galt here. almost guaranteed. Either that, I mean, we did see the Wrath ban in last game, and I think that's for two reasons. Partially because it would have really thrown a wrench in the gear for their team comp, because it bridges the early game into the late game for Free Shard of Solace's comp from last game. Clearly, they didn't really need that bridge. But now we see the Thorn and the instant Galt lock in. It's no surprise.
Monty,
they have
maybe?
Floyder. Floyder's a known Galt player. So we'll see if Free Shard of Solace can finish it in 15 minutes, because that's the benchmark. Or we'll see if they pivot and make their team comp scale better. But I expect Oscar Monty here, or potentially Monty Alani.
Arendi wasn't picked last game. Banned or picked.
That's a good point to bring up.
Older.
I think a big part of that is neither of these teams really favor Arendi heavily. Obviously, both teams have players that can play Arendi. I mean, pretty much anybody with a brain and a controller can play Arendi at this point. No offense to Arendi players, it's just with Nihilism at the state it's in right now, like the way that ability scaling works, once you get Nihilism, it's just it's so much easier to play the character. So I think that's a big factor. But yeah, it is interesting that they didn't pick the Arendi. It would have given them better late game scaling than the Shane. Although it would have hurt their early game a bit.
They're gonna let them have Oscar again?
I think the biggest thing here is they're prioritizing the CC. I mean, Monty is still up, but
They need the poke
they
damage,
didn't want
though.
to pick Monty into Galt because he's a massive hook magnet. And I think with Thorn off the board, they're not worried about damage characters. They can trade Oscar for other damage characters. They can take a Whiskey. They can take a Marquis. They can take an Isaac. Speaking of which, I do think Isaac we'll be seeing on Mousetrap this game. Might see the Toby again. Into a Galt comp, I think Toby's really good because he just naturally is going to be out of hook range. And then on top of that, he has a shield. So he's just a natural counter to a Galt comp. But we'll have to see what they do here because they could go a lot of different directions.
Arendi.
And they do lock in the Arendi. So we'll probably see Steve-O playing the Arendi here.
And grab Alani,
Alphas
though.
can play it too, but
Gonna let them have Alani, or are they gonna get Alani?
I think they honestly have to take Alani here.
Tom's Alani so good, but they're losing range. Yeah. They would have to get a range DPS.
And they'll probably fill in with a Whiskey or an Isaac or a Toby. I think they've built a pretty solid comp. They're good in the early game. Boulder and Wrath are both super solid early game characters who also scale decently. Mainly decent. If we need to, we can always rebuild the lobby with the same characters drafted. Hopefully they'll finish out the draft here, and then we'll just pull him in after the draft. Just do a quick select. Hopefully that's what they're going to do.
If he
They're
doesn't
taking all
come
their
back.
time to pick.
Kid, suspected. I don't think.
I guess they were
play
just
Umber.
debating between Amber or Kid. That's
They
the only
like
thing
Kid
could
more, I
there.
think. So the stun.
They
and
do.
matchup, the
The
overall
biggest
heals.
thing is, yeah, he has. Well, Umbra, her ult, all it brings to the table is extra wave clear and like zone denial, whereas Kid Ultra's ult is like actually adds more healing and more like actual save potential.
Yeah.
So, and I mean that the knockaway mechanic can't go understated because you can cancel channels with that.
I think
You can
Isaac
push
is
people
strong
off of
here.
your characters.
Personally, I think Isaac.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I mean Isaac would be good, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Toby again.
Yeah, because now you just have
It's
to
really
deal with
only
Oscar
Oscar to deal with him.
and Monty. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Monty, but Granted, they don't have nearly as much beef in front of the Toby this time, so that's
This is
something to take into
definitely
account too.
for Alpha. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. He won't have as much beef in front of him, but he also has much less damage threat because it's only Oscar as opposed to an Oscar and a Thorn last game. I think they solved their scaling issue where now you might even argue that they outscale Free Shard of Solus, but I think Free Shard of Solus did it really well with Monty scales beautifully into late game. Oscar obviously does. Kid Ultra scales really well into late game. And then it pretty much, will just depend on whether or not Mousetrap can win the early game. Because the Galt comp, if it gets control of the game, they don't have the same issue that Mousetrap's Galt comp had from last game. Mm-hmm. They do scale decently into late game. So I don't think that 15-minute timer is as strict. It still applies, but I think you could probably push it back to like 20, maybe 25 minutes before like you just straight up get outscaled. But it is worth noting Floyder's Galt is, very well known. And he is running his notorious Galt build. He runs attack speed, move speed, and attack damage, move speed. Allows for better positioning. Galt does have the slowest base move speed in the game, so kind of help that a little bit.
Isn't he like tied with Beatrix? Beatrix is pretty fucking slow.
Honestly, I can legitimately say the last time I tested character move speeds was before Beatrix came out.
Oh.
So if they've rejiggered any, or if Beatrix is in fact slower or as slow, that could be the case. I mean, I'd believe it. Like, I mean, she is really slow, but she also has move speed built into her kit at level 4, 5. No, it's not 5. I think it's 4. You get the right option, which slows enemies around you when you fulminate and speeds up allies.
Looks like Shane might get shocked here before Boulder, which is a little bit surprising to me. Shane is running sprint speed though. Probably why.
Yeah, that completely accounts for that. But it is worth noting.
Oh, what the hook on
Dude, Randy gets hooked in instantly. Shane fetched right after the hook, so Monty missed the stun.
Yeah.
Shane literally just trolled the Monty.
Looks like they're gonna push out here.
So we see Free Shard of Solus definitely made a misstep there. Major misstep with their chaining of CCs.
Yeah,
because the Shane fetch could have been fine.
Went after Randy at the same time, and Monty missed.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Monty wouldn't have missed if she hadn't gotten fetched, so it was just a miscommunication. Wrath did back to base though, so Free Shard of Solus actually has the number advantage on the map right now, and it looks like they recognize that, so Shane's going straight in on the back line. Gets a nice fetch on the Arendian, who's already low. Looks like Monty dashed, but then decided that he didn't want to actually dash into lane, so he pushed into the wall at the last second to cancel it, more or less.
Hook on the Wrath.
Either that or it could have been a mistake, but...
Wrath might go down. Yep.
Yep, Shane with the nice finish there. Oscar doing a lot of damage. Galt should have hook up here if he needs it, but they just burn straight through the shield. I think that's something that Free Shard of Solus does better than any other team that I've played against in competitive play to date. Is when they play against shielding characters like Boulder and like Isaac and like Gal, they don't care about it. They just burn through the shield because they know that a lot of players have like a false sense of security behind that shield, and as such, they make them pay. Unsurprising, Kid Ultra already took Vigilance Protocol. Got that early level 2 from the kills, which definitely very powerful. Definitely a good thing for him to have.
It was a little
Gear
too far
loadouts.
up.
Gear loadouts look pretty standard. Everybody's running just damage items with max health secondaries or just straight up max health items. Shane's the only standout really there, where she has a free sprint speed and a free shield, both with negative range DPS stats, so they don't affect Shane at all. Recoil and reload speed, respectively. Gall with the hook on Boulder, but might have backfired on him a bit. Wrath with a nice counter engage, and we'll have to see how that turns out. And Boulder does end up going down to it, so. I kind of jumped my camera there on accident. Hit LB. Wrath gets hooked in, knocks up the whole team. It's pretty much what you expect for Wrath. That's why you pick Wrath into Galt. But we see Toby's already at half health back there, without any CC threat on him whatsoever. Just more or less just Oscar and Monty doing the deeps.
Yeah.
But he does have health regen on his shield, so
Boulder's still level 1
he's ticking
here.
up a little bit. And Boulder, you would argue, really needs that level 2. Like, I feel so useless as Boulder until I get my further dash distance.
He really needs to leave some minion kills for him.
Yeah, Rendy and Toby both sitting at 10 minions already. So it's definitely a struggle for the rest of their allies to get XP. They need to be communicating that hey, like, you know, don't insta-clear waves. Like, you know, the minions are, at this point in the game, you're not going to get sentry damage with the comp that Free Shard of Solace has. So it's better to share the minion XP while you can, until, like, you need to be hard clearing waves. But we do see everybody in the game's at level 2 now. Arendi the first to 3, as well as Kid Ultra on his team, the first to 3. I think that's attributed to the fact he's got an assist on every kill. Like, he has
He has 4
he actually
assists.
has more than on. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just purely from a buildable. He
well.
probably bought the shock turret, or like bought the last upgrade from the shock turret, and got an assist from that.
TNT only has 3 deaths though. Hook, miss.
And Wrath with the 1 kill confirm on his team. I believe it was a crossblade finished off the kill.
Got a Shepherd Thrall coming out. Thrall might knock up unless they stun it. Getting slowed. No, it's getting DPS on. Yeah. Hawk is still up too.
Boulder hooked in and immediately dashes forward, which
Wrath is
probably
gonna
was
get
his
cut out.
best bet of getting out, but Wrath's gonna die for it.
Yeah.
Gold tick up will be up in a second. Yep, there it is. Misses it.
On Boulder. Yep.
Wow. Galt just chunked Toby super hard. Toby was hanging out beside the sentry. Galt comes up on window and just takes him from 3/4 down to about 1/4 health. Alani does have level 3 now, so it will be easier for her to sustain her teammates, but
Ooh.
they have a lot of low health bars right now, so. Shane with a nice escape, and that's partially why you see the sprint speed on Shane, because she can get out of sticky situations much easier. Galt's keeping the sentry shield down, though. Getting good poke on the sentry shield. Just hashtag just Floyder things.
Comes right back in and hook.
Nice hook onto Wrath, and the follow-up on Shane with the fetch. And there's the prime example why Sticks Malone takes the knock up almost exclusively on this team is because on Monty.
Oh, kid can go down. Kid does go down.
Yeah, Kid'll definitely go there. That was a great geyser on
Monty's getting
Alani's
low.
part. Yeah, Free Shard of Souls will probably give up mid here. They really don't have anything to lose by giving it up. They have a Galt comp. Galt comps like to be, pushed back occasionally anyways. Gives them a better chance for a pick. And Monty looks like he'll make it out alive. I don't think anybody will be able to get up on the window and take him. But back to the point, what I was saying about the Monty knockup is, it's more not only because it's AoE around you in a circle rather than a cone in front of you, but the biggest thing is that when you don't knock away people, if somebody's in front of you, you can CC them no matter what. You don't have to worry about, is there a wall behind them? Will they get stunned? Or am I saving this person's life? And, in that last exchange, like, he would have been knocking people away, but instead, gets the safe CC.
Look on the Alani.
Alani gets hooked in, but she should make it out alive. Boulder eats the stun for her properly. That was good body blocking on Boulder's part. Right in the right place at the right time. Just making sure as Alani doesn't take any damage.
Team 1 does get damage on Sentry, though. Worth noticing. Versus, no, that didn't. Never mind.
Yeah, that was the Galt on window and Oscar Mike periodically poking in through lane. But it was primarily the Galt and window. He was zoning them off. Anytime somebody would push on him, he has the damage to trade with any one of them. Because realistically, the only character who can trade with Galt on that team is the Toby. And in close range, Galt's going to win that fight every time. Nice knock up on the Alani, but he gets right back out because can't stay in there too long. If he gets stunned by Boulder, he'll probably die. But now they see they have the health bar advantage. They'll take mid back for sure.
Oh, the knockup and the stun. That was a miscommunication there.
For sure.
Order gets dashed.
Chain has stun now. So now
Toby
the
does too.
CC chain following a hook will be much more significant.
Randy is the first one to 5, though. Here comes the ult on Oscar. Yep.
Well played by Randy there. Just barely getting it in before getting knocked up.
About to get stunned. About to get knocked up. Ooh,
Monty could get picked here.
Gonna dash out.
A nice dash away by Monty. Mousetrap doing a really good job of playing with low health bars and making sure that they spread the aggro out between them. But they do need to make sure they're getting topped up in between engages because they're hanging out with low health bars a little bit longer than we'd like to see.
Kid's the first one to 5-2 for his team. So a lot of saves for him. Wrath gets pulled through geometry around the corner, so he's gonna get killed. He's dead. Damn. Ball's coming up strong. Took shock down. Gonna push out here, probably. Randy's gonna get pulled. Yep.
Ooh,
so
nice hook on the Randy there.
Draw wave. Pull on Toby. Toby gets the stun on Galt though. Oh, what is Wrath doing? Wrath just killed himself there.
Yeah, that was a bit questionable. I mean, it is very difficult playing Wrath into this much CC, but like that's just all the more reason you gotta play passive. You gotta make sure that you're just focusing on counter engages.
Oh, the ult on the Kid Ultra's ult did nothing. Unless he completely missed.
I believe he moved the camera a little bit too much, and so he didn't get the damage off it at all. Like it literally did no damage. That's just a well-known Arendi bug. For any of those in the chat who aren't aware, pretty much if you swing Arendi's camera during her ult, it does no damage. Like you have to be like you can move your body, but you can't move your camera. At least not when it's actually launching off. Like you can move all the way up until it goes off. Toby coming around through garage misses the stun, so won't amount to much. He would have had kill pressure there if he had stunned pretty much any one of them in that choke point. They were all pretty low. But we also see the power of Kid Ultra though. I mean those healing station, like it's very reliable and it's very easy to execute. Like there's you just stand in the drones and you get healed. Alani's having to worry about so much damage in CC that her allies are taking, and the whole time making sure she doesn't get hooked.
Yep.
It's just a really hard place to be in. And not to mention Alani with an Arendi on her team and a Toby clearing the waves instantly. That's that much less that Alani has to stack off of.
Oscar ult is
nice engage by
Alani.
Shane.
Oh. Alani just rocked right into the Oscar
Two
ult.
going down at once. Kid Ultra actually getting credit for the Wrath kill. I think it was with Bola, but can't confirm for sure. But I doubt it was with the Pea shooter.
Sentry damage.
Galt and Oscar both up on window. But I mean, nobody can really dedicate their time to zoning Oscar off because there's 4 people in lane. There you go. Boulder finally starts to zone him off a little bit.
Galt's gonna go right back up there. Galt's gonna finish it. Now, Team 1 has a longer respawn time, so this is where Team 2 can make a comeback, turn the tide here, but when it gets
That's definitely worth noting, but you do get a pretty big dump of XP when you take that first century, and it goes across the whole team. So, Boulder's the only one not to 5 on his team. Arendi does have Nihilism online now, so that she'll have better kill pressure. But surprisingly enough, on Free Shard of Solace, the only ones to 6 are Shane and Kid. And Kid, that can pretty much be completely attributed to the fact that Kid has over 100% kill participation. Just from that one buildable.
And the most minion kills.
Kill.
And he just got another kill in 11.
He does in fact have the most minion kills. That is definitely true. Surprising but true. But I mean, when you shoot that Bola with the DOT at level 1 through the wave, like it gets really good minion participation.
Yeah.
You see Free Shard of Solace completely taking over the first sentry pit, moving right into the second choke point. The Monty Galt CC just perfectly chained, and then Shane just for the cherry on top with the stun, making sure that Boulder can't dash away or anything. And you'll notice like Monty preemptively started dashing as soon as the Galt hook hit, because he knows then Boulder can't dash away or dash somebody off of the hook.
Yeah.
Galt, pretty much, I can't say for sure, but it looked a lot like he did that damage majority by himself when he just hooked that Wrath.
Yeah.
Which we expect from Floyder. Floyder is a notorious Galt player. There's a reason you don't give Floyder Galt. And he's showing it right now.
Orders making a suicide.
This is around the level mark. Yeah, Boulder just. I mean, he had the right idea. They need to get Monty out of this spot because Monty will literally just destroy the sentry by himself right there. Between him and Oscar, Oscar as well, obviously. But it's got to be a team effort. They need to, make a collapse. They need the Arendi ult to initiate, I think. Because if you initiate with a Arendi ult and then follow up with a Nihilism Pillar, you have much better kill pressure than a Nihilism Pillar into an Arendi ult. But I don't know. That would have made much of a difference. The CC chains were just too clean.
Personally?
Yeah. I would agree. I think somebody mentioned it in the chat that if you're going to be taking Monty, banning Gao is really big. So if you know that the enemy team has banned Gao, then you expect them to be taking Monty. But on the flip side of that, you don't want to pick Monty into the Galt because he's a hook magnet. So I mean, they kind of drafted themselves into a corner there. What did Galt take at 3?
Oh.
Why would he take anything other than the shield? He took the max shield. Like I'll tell you right. I'm not looking at it, but I can guarantee you he took max shield.
Yeah.
He does not take the extra pellets. It doesn't give you extra damage. It spreads your damage out evenly across more pellets. I do not condone the use of farming. And not to mention, Blood Shadow had 5 deaths, whereas Spaghetti had 8. So that doesn't even line up whatsoever. That being said, Wrath having the most deaths, not surprising at all. I mean, he's squishy as hell, and to make anything happen, Boulder and Wrath have to be out in the open. But they get hooked by Galt, they die instantly.
Shout out to Styx Malone doing the most damage.
Yeah, thank you, Malox, for confirming. But yeah, I don't think anyone was surprised. Lol. Yes, Julie B, this upcoming game will be game 3, and Free Shard of Solace is up 2-0. We saw a super early game comp from Mousetrap in the first game. It seemed to be paying off really well. They had a huge advantage. I believe that they did take the first century, right? Yeah, they took the first century first. Yeah. But the biggest thing was just that they didn't have any late game assurance. So they just got completely outscaled. They were playing into a Thorn and Oscar and a Dragon, and a Kelvin. Like 4 of the hardest scaling characters in the game, one might argue. So as soon as they got levels 6 and 7 online, they just took over the game and won very quickly. I'd say it was like a 2-minute swing where they just took both centuries instantly. This game, we saw them definitely shore up their draft a little bit more as far as scaling goes, but they fell into the pitfall of giving Floyder Galt.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they could win the late game, and it just didn't work out.
Nope.
Toby into Galt, Montana, and Oscar. I mean, honestly, like really the only one out of those that I see as a huge thing is the Oscar. Galt isn't really going to do anything to Toby. If anything, Toby actually counters Galt a little bit because Galt has to be out in the open to do anything at all. And Toby is going to shred him. He has a massive hitbox. Alpha's a solid Toby. He will hit the crits. But that being said, they didn't have any kill pressure beyond that. They didn't have enough beef to, actually make things happen. The only way I saw Mousetrap winning with that draft. Yeah, of course, Julie B. The only way I saw Mousetrap winning with that draft was if they had come out swinging in the early game and just made play after play. But against a Galt, that's so difficult. Like, because he just punishes so easily.
Yeah. I think Mousetrap needs to rethink their draft a little bit more instead of relying on CC. You cannot give them their range DPS. I get Alpha is a good Toby, but I feel like he didn't do really that much compared to game one than he did in game two.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, that does go back to he didn't have nearly as much beef in front of him. Like
Yeah,
he had
those
so
are
much CC in front of him, he just got to free fire the whole game. And they're subbing in Kamikaze for actually I'm not sure who they're subbing him in for yet. Who dropped out? Steve-O?
Steve-O.
Okay, I mean that kind of makes sense to me because Steve-O, while he's better at Thorn than Kamikaze, I think beyond that, the other range DPSs Kamikaze's gonna be better at, hands down. Don't get me wrong, Steve-O's fantastic in any character, but Kamikaze's just so reliable when you put a gun in his put a gun wielding character in his hands. Positioning, you know, I'd give him a B minus, but hopefully he can, you know, make something happen. Future Frozone, if you could keep it positive in the chat. I've noticed on multiple occasions that you're just being super negative, and you know we just don't need that here. So I don't know who you are, but keep it positive, or I will see to it that you are banned from the chat, at least temporarily. There's just no need for that. You're not helping anyone. And not to mention, you clearly didn't read my message all the way through because that was not the point of it. So what you said they're gonna have to change it up. I mean, they brought in Kamikaze. We know he's a known gun using character player. Well, what do you think they're gonna be looking to prioritize here?
Oscar. They need a sentry poke. That's where they're lacking on game one and two. They didn't have that much poke. They have the CC and all, but Toby can only do so much for hitting the sentry. And it looks like Mousetrap is going to get team one this time. So the bans might be different this time. I don't think Free Starter Solos is going to ban Gal. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think they're going to try to get Gal.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm not going to say anything else about it, but seriously, Future Frozone, you're not impressing anyone. No one gives a shit. You didn't hurt my feelings. You're just toxic, and we don't need that. So go away. Go troll somebody else's stream. Nobody gives a shit. Because you'll notice nobody responded to you except for me because no one thinks you're funny.
We have 58,000 strong watching the stream. I appreciate everyone joining.
Yes, seriously. For real, appreciate everyone joining.
I hope you're enjoying the finals. Sorry for the little hiccup in game one, but we managed game two. Game three is about to be under the way, and you might see Free Starter Solos taking season 4 champs here.
I mean, but I don't want to count Mousetrap out though.
No,
they did bring Kamikaze in. Clearly, they have something else in mind for this draft, and the reverse sweep is completely possible. You know, both of these teams are super strong teams. They've both been putting in the time all season, been scrimming, you know, been training up. So could go either way. It's anyone's game as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
All right. I mean, I'd like to point out we have names as notorious as DJ Rekovitz and Immune One. Like, guys, we haven't seen, and Sea Time God, like, we haven't seen y'all in a long time, and it is good to see you. We appreciate you coming out for this. And hopefully you come out for next season. Yeah, I feel like this is as good a time as any. Like, you know, we do fully intend on having another season. I've talked to many players who would love to play next season. They're still looking for teams. I don't know of any fully formed teams yet. I know that both of these teams that are playing currently are looking to disband after this season. So You know, if you see someone in the chat or you see someone in game, reach out to them, send them a message, say, hey, you know, what are you doing next season? Do you want to play? And, you know, get something popping.
Clearly, I was wrong. So they didn't ban Gal. They don't want Gal in the game at all. um. Hmm.
Oh, and Luckless Liar's here too. We got people from season 1, guys. Like anyone who has any doubts, the game is still alive. We play 10-mans every single night. We'd love to have you. Message me anytime. I promise we'll get you in 10-mans. Like we played them all day today as well.
Started a Minecraft league. Colt and Kelvin ban. All right. Do you grab Oscar or do you grab Monty?
I think the pick here is Oscar, namely because of what we highlighted earlier, that we do have Kamikaze on the team now. The biggest issue has been pre-poking people before the CC, but you know, I guess they're prioritizing the Monty. The biggest thing I see here is that 3 of the biggest CCs in the game, in Kelvin, Gal, and Galt, are off the table. So, you know, Monty's definitely a big CC and arguably the strongest CC left on the board. Thank you anyways, Reapers. It's fine.
First pick Miko and Boulder.
If anybody is wondering the
so to do get Oscar
later in the game, we'll make sure we say it.
Oscar
and yeah,
you
know, I'm genuinely surprised by these first 2 picks by Free Shard of Solus.
I am too.
Mainly just because it's like the anti-synergy between Boulder and Miko. Like Boulder wants to go in, Miko wants meat shields in front of him.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard.
Granted, I guess
to keep up with Boulder.
There's no meat shields left.
Yeah.
Like Boulder is the most meat shield of the tanks that were left on the board. So, and I think also the Miko was a takeaway. They didn't want the Miko Monty. Miko Monty's super easy to execute and arguably, you know, the most powerful healer tank dichotomy in the game. And there's the Oscar Mike. We didn't, you know, not surprised at all there that, you know, if it's left up, they will take it for Kami. And I actually really like that Alpha's hovering the Monty here, because I think while Alpha is a role player and he'll do whatever his job is, he'll do it well. I think having him on a solid CC character where he can set up the plays and everyone else can just follow up on whatever he does really lends to them, you know, having a strong early game and being able to follow up on that throughout the game. He also doesn't tilt. He's completely tilt-proof from my experience. And so, you know, that'll help them a lot. And they did take the Earnest, which we saw banned in game 1. So,
it's gonna help, you know, Monty and Oscar.
Yeah. Yeah, the synergy right now on Mousetrap with their team comp is extremely solid. That being said, I mean, beyond the Miko, which I think we can confirm is more or less a takeaway, so that they didn't have the Monty Miko. I mean, Free Shard of Solus has got a very solid comp as well. They have a lot of burst, and I mean, their early game is just disgusting right now.
I see a marquee pick for Shard for Mainly. I don't see Mainly playing those characters. Like,
yeah, Manly doesn't play any of those characters other than Miko in my mind. Like, he can play Boulder, and he can play any character in the game.
Can play game, but
most players at the highest level can play any character, but like he's not known for any of these characters, and they need ranged DPS that like has like ranged crit for pre-poking thralls and taking down thumpers. So Marquis fits perfectly into the draft. And yeah, I mean it's pretty solid. Interestingly, we see the Alani passed up for Umbra though.
Yeah, Blood like Somber.
I think that's partially based off of what player is playing the healer this game. I think they're looking to have and Alpha will actually be on Benedict for sure, not the Monty. But I think Bloodshadow is probably going to be the healer, and he's not known as an Alani player. Like, I mean, he can play it, but it's not anything special. And when you're in the finals, you want everybody on comfort picks. You don't want anything, out of the blue.
Manly's playing Miko. Did not see that.
Manly is playing the Miko.
Florida.
Well, I mean, they have Floyder too, so it's like it's up in the air. But yeah. I mean, Floyder definitely doesn't play healer, so
I think Mozzie want a break from a healer.
That's fair. I mean, it potentially could be their last game of the season, and for a lot of them, it's their last game that they'll ever play together in competitive play. At least, as of right now, from what we understand, they won't be playing together next season. So, they want to have some fun, and Moz deserves a chance to not
Tom
have
playing
to be
Oscar.
playing healer.
Tommy's playing Ernest. I mean,
Plus, it's worth stating that
Tom is a good player overall. I think he can execute Oscar well.
Oh, as soon as I saw the Umbra, I knew Tom wasn't playing healer.
Yeah.
Not that Tom doesn't play Umbra, but that Tom is so diverse of a player that it's robbing the team to have him playing healer every single game, especially on a character like Umbra, who's much easier to execute than an Alani. One thing worth noting, Bloodshadow will be taking the masochism heals, as I call them, at level 3 on Umbra. He won't be taking the sustaining the sunspot thing.
Nope.
And Alpha is a very solid Benedict, so that'll be fun to watch. And just touching on it real quick, the main reason I see that Manly's on the Miko is because, like, alternatively he would have been on Arendi, and Maz actually plays Arendi, whereas Manly's just like, that character's too brainless for me, so I don't play it that often. Not his words, I'm putting words in his mouth, but that's probably more or less what he would say. Looks like Boulder will easily win the race to shock. I don't think anybody was even trying to race him.
Alright, his skin destroyed by Marquis. Oh my god.
Yeah, as soon as he walked up, he's already quarter health. And we see why Floyder's a notorious DPS player. I mean, he's already chunking them all. And it's not the giant Monty that everyone's like, oh yeah, Monty's so easy to hit. It's like, yeah, but it's much less impactful to be poking him. He's poking the squishies, the characters that have much less max health at the start of the game. Well, and just overall, I guess. Yeah, I mean, he's just railing out Ernest anytime he walks in the lane. Granted, Ernest does have a massive hitbox for what he looks like. Like, and especially his crit spot.
Umbra is already down.
Wrath gets Hawkeye. It won't amount to much, though.
Oscar did take sneak attack, by the way. And Ernest took the pushback.
Tom always takes sneak attack. And yeah, I'm not surprised at all by the Ernest pushback, just because that's so impactful. Like I mentioned in game 1 when Free Shard of Souls banned it, I think that made a huge difference, like, into why they would ban that, is just the push away. Yeah, Amber's crit, definitely a very easy crit spot, because like her mantle or crown or whatever you want to call that around the outside of her head just it makes her crit hit spot so huge. And a player like Floyder is not going to miss. Granted, she is also, pretty
Benny's
much
already level
always going to be
2.
healing herself. So
So it's a lot already.
yeah, it's just the players getting the actual minion kills versus just getting minion participation.
Yep. Shepard's still alive. Yes. Looks like Floyd's getting Thrall. Tom already got their
And it
Thrall.
looks like Amber and Oscar are going to, as we like to call it, PS4 the Thrall, sharing the XP between them. Well, little known fact, or probably well known fact, I don't know. The single Thrall XP from actually capping the pad, everyone gets 100 XP. It is not split. So, if you could have all 5 people on it, that's, most optimal, which apparently is what PS4 does from my understanding. I've seen it happen in competitive, quote unquote, competitive PS4 games. Where they literally have 5 people leave lane, just give up lane completely, and go stand on the Thrall pad together just for the extra 100 XP. So we created the colloquial joke.
Thrall's gonna go down before it knocks up. Yep. This Marquis is just in lane. It just horrendous them.
Yeah, it's not too surprising. Monty tries to stun the Thrall. It was slowed though, so it did not get stunned. It just got flipped over, does its little backflip thing. Marquis just standing behind his elite bot, just pocketed by Miko, ripping into them. And he's also sent flying by the Earnest, because just Earnest things.
That Bulbul and an Arendi pillar, I just noticed this is gonna be so deadly for them to execute.
So something worth noting, the Diandi into Arendi, I mean, obviously it's not in this game, but I noticed in the chat y'all are talking about it. Literally the only thing the Diandi did that entire game was absolutely nothing other than ult people. She was just a stun bot. I mean, she did her job, but she was literally just a stun bot. She did nothing other than that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. In competitive play, you're not going to play Diandi into Arendi. You're just not going to get anything done whatsoever.
We do see a slow egg, not a reload egg, if I'm correct.
This is correct, yes. You can see the little swirly animations around it, confirming slow. And I think that's pretty obvious. I mean, we like to joke around that it's pretty much another tank on the battlefield, but the biggest impact is that it keeps people from being able to jump up on the window easily. Although it is worth noting he could place a little bit further to the right, because right now they can actually jump past it. There's a tiny spot on the step-up box that they can get on and still jump past it. I also think it's funny, I just saw one of the Houdinis from Marquis getting slowed by the slow egg.
Monty's gonna punish.
Didn't seem to actually affect him flying.
Rathage won.
Monty punished hard there. I think the play in general was a little bit overzealous on the Monty's part. I understand what he wants to do. He wants to get out of the choke point. They need to make something happen, but I don't know if that was the right way to go about it. But it is difficult being the solo tank. It's not going to be an easy game for Monty, but that's what they drafted him into. And Ernest is kind of like a pseudo tank once he hits level 3 and gets that DR. I will just confirm real quickly that that is what he took, but I see no reason why he wouldn't into an Arendi. Yeah. The Ernest has the bomb suit. He'll be taking like no damage from the Arendi pillars. So keep an eye out for that. I believe at this point in the game, the Arendi pillars are probably going to do about 240 to an Ernest. And if he's in his egg, it'll do even less. About 210. Or 215, something like that, give or take. I don't know. Numbers, math. Numbers. numbers, math.
Rindy's the first one to 4. Boulder's still level 2. Kills ways. Wrath is the only one who has the kill right now. Actually, Monty died. That was his first blood on the battlefield. The big wave from Team 1. Save Throg and knockout.
Yeah, it's actually a much later first blood than we've seen either of the first games. But I think that can also be attributed to comps. Both of these comps kind of want to scale up a little bit. They want to hit their levels 3 and 4s. Really, their 4s and 5s is where most of these characters are really going to come alive. But we might see Monty get picked again here. As did a nice dash by Monty. He does indeed take Shockwave, if that wasn't evident. Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm supposed to be calling these out. I kind of like, I see things and I'm just like, okay, that's what augment they took, but I need to be a better commentator and let the fans know. Thing is, with most of these characters, like, a lot of the options are not really options. Like,
yeah.
I mean, Marquis took Phase Flyer. That's pretty much par for the course unless you have an Invis character on the enemy team. Marquis took Clip Size at 3, which I prefer, but I've heard recently that there are a few people who do prefer the recoil. So it's not unheard of to take recoil, but
he's 4
that
now,
one,
so
he has Time Killer at 4. That's completely expected.
Wrath's stunned. Good stun, but I don't think Monty's gonna punish
Yeah,
him.
Monty might have killed himself by doing that, though.
Oh.
He thought Marquis was out of lane. Oh, wow. Nice job by Umbra, you know, sustaining with the masochism heals. Just don't keep the camera too close to Umbra, because she's going to be screaming the whole game. Oof, Umbra passive procs. She should be alright, though. Granted, she's hurting herself more right now. She might actually have just... Wow. That Arendi ability was very close. Benedict gets a pick on Wrath, though.
That's huge, actually.
Yeah, that's a really big pick, and it's going on the right character, too. Get that Benedict's levels up.
Yeah, he is 4. All Team 1 is 4. Team 2,
and damage
middle,
spread almost perfectly among their 3 damage characters. Rindy is the first to 5, but at the cost of her melees and healer. Yeah.
That's a
I
lot.
think Rindy's probably just trying to get to 6 as quickly as possible, and then she'll lay off the minions a bit so that her team can get levels. Or maybe not. Maybe she'll just keep, you know, pushing for the, you know, overtime. Yeah, Mousetrap could have timed that wave a little bit better, but I think they were more concerned about trying to make something off of that pick. Whereas, like, realistically, at this point in the game, death timers are still too short. Unless you can get another pick right off the bat, you're not gonna be able to make much of it. You just gotta take that pick for what it is, just, you know, a bonus XP. Umbra has attack damage, max health, and a health regen item. I guess just to keep her health pool up while she's constantly feeding it into somebody else. Honestly, a pretty interesting Umbra build. No heal power, no skill damage. Pretty much just built completely around the fact that I'm going to be holding down my right trigger on allies the whole game, I guess. Just being a budget Miko. And, I mean, in her defense, she's doing well at it, but budget Miko is just... You don't see that Umbra that often, so it's a nice change of pace. What do you think the breaking point for this game is going to be? Like, what team is going to come out and all of a sudden do stuff? Or is it going to depend on who gets ult online first? Because we still have a lot of level 4s.
I think whoever gets ult first. I mean, there's a lot of zoning ults between Team 1. I mean, Oscar, Ernest, and Umber. That's just potentially just wave clearing or pushing lane. Monty getting 5 is already 5 actually, and then Benny just following over the finisher. Wrath ult doesn't really do much. Boulder ult is have him survive much better, and Miko having the mushroom is gonna help. And then
Yeah, I would actually argue that Wrath ult in competitive play honestly hinders your damage more than it helps. Because you can't crit with it, and your right, left is going to do more DPS per second. Like, well, that's redundant. More DPS than ulting anyways, and your ult is, making your hitbox bigger, making you easier to hit, like, and you can't double jump. So pretty much, for those of you who like to play Wrath, like, you don't really need to ult unless you're like trying to solo kill someone.
Yep. Let's
And
see
even then,
Marquis
only
getting
if,
5
like,
too. That's gonna be
Marquis getting 5, that is fairly impactful. We've actually only seen, what, one Arendi ult so far? Have we even seen an Arendi ult? I think we
no,
have.
actually, I don't know. She is 6 though. Ooh,
Maybe
big
not.
stun.
Oh,
That's a huge
nice stun by Monty. And Monty does have his ult, so Wrath with a nice combo there
There's
to
a
just
Randy ult and a Marquis
keep
ult.
them from doing stuff. I don't know how I feel about that Monty ult. Like, I understand the idea that he thought he was going to get picked, but now he doesn't have it for, follow-up engage and for
I think
a
that
hard
was just to stop
engage.
Doll from knocking up.
Could be. I mean, he didn't have a minion wave, though, so, like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Benny might get picked here. No, he's gonna skip.
It was definitely, like, somewhat of a panic ult. For no matter what the plan in his head was, it was somewhat of a panic ult. If he
Doll
had
finally
thought that
knocked
out, he
up.
wouldn't have done it.
Oh, Monty missed dash.
Ooh, and that hurts. But it won't actually amount to anything. But it is a waste of a Monty dash. It's going to be another 8 seconds now until he has it again.
Oh,
But they might push out with this elite bot. The elite bot did live a pretty good time. Shock's still not down though. That's rough. Oscar's trying to work it down, but it still didn't go down. There you go. Oscar finishes it, but at the cost of his Monty dying, and there goes their push.
yep.
Got to do your due diligence. Got to make sure stuff like Shock's down. I can almost guarantee like that Shock probably did 500 damage to Monty.
And the Shock connects, like it channels, so it did whatever damage to Monty to whoever's near Monty.
Exactly. Yeah. It changed to somebody else. So there's a Wrath ult on Umbra. Just knowing that he doesn't have anybody to really zone her off, and Miko just got on Wrath just in time. Like that extra 200 health that Miko gave in the first 2 ticks was the difference between Wrath living and dying. I didn't understand that. Maximum Coolant said that's Rich coming from a fork knife player. He was talking about Fortnite. I didn't get it at first, so I just for anybody else in the chat who didn't understand it, that gave me a good time.
A lot is going on in tunnel right now. Math are just moodily freeing. Oh, Math might go down here. That's pretty big. And they don't have the save.
The Vrelsi the Vrelsi death thing, like when people when you get a kill, kill flare or whatever they call them. Finisher, there you go. The Vrelsi finisher is hilarious.
Good
It's so
son of
obnoxious.
Miko. Oh, Miko's still alive.
Yeah, but
How's Miko still alive?
He's not dying.
Oh.
Okay, there you go. The Montana ult stomped on his head. I mean, he wasn't getting out of there either, though.
Yeah,
he was stuck between the Benny and Monty while they were both CC'd.
He got the overshield from Shepard, so I was like, oh, he
Yeah.
might survive.
Yeah, Shepard overshield is like ridiculous how much it gives you.
Ooh, Oscar stunned. Yeah. Good pick.
Reapers, you can totally play Battleborn. We'd love to have you back in the community. We run 10-mans pretty much every night. I'll start sending you invites if I actually thought you would join.
It's too late. Marquee ult. And Monty's gonna punish for that. Oh, oh.
Oh, gets
He
out
probably
with
has like 10 health,
what?
probably. Oh,
No,
Benny is
no,
gonna
he has
go
like
down.
120. It is Monty.
Yeah, there goes Monty.
Yeah, he had over 100. But in the meantime, Benny died, so there's that. Because Arendi is level 7, so not only does she have nihilism, but nihilism is packing a punch now.
7,
Probably
yeah.
like with judging by his build, it's probably like 560. It's actually the exact same Arendi build I run nowadays in competitive play. All you need.
Essentially, gonna go
Max
down.
health, shields down, and skill damage max health. Same build Wrath's running, which is funny because the build is actually labeled Wrath. Well, Wrath has a cooldown instead of a charge end, but similar principle.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could switch out the free cooldown for the charge end on Arendi. I just prefer the charge end for the earlier gear online, and also getting Reapers. That's not very nice. And you wouldn't just be playing with me. I mean, it's 10 mans. I meant play with the community again. I'm not talking about specifically. When I'm mentioning people playing in 10 mans, I'm not talking about playing with me. I'm saying play with the community again. Asshole. But, so how does Mousetrap get out of this? Because we've seen some really nice stunts from Spaghetti. We've seen some picks, but they just haven't been able to chain one pick into the next and then be able to do something with it. Like, you'd argue they have more damage. They have 3 damage carries.
Boulder and Wrath. I think Wrath is good for them to take down, but Boulder, it needs to be taken down more. Just Boulder can just land those down, especially
But can they kill Boulder with only 1 CC? That's the question.
yeah, that's the problem right now. I only have 1 CC.
Like a good stun on Boulder, like, yeah, you'll get him down to maybe even like a quarter health, but you're not going to 100-0 him. Then Monty ults and he just shields while he's up in the air, and you're not going to kill him. Like, I think their best bet, honestly, is killing Wrath or killing Arendi and then trying to chain another kill off that while they have the numbers advantage. Because Wrath is the big disruptor. Like, Boulder's annoying, but Wrath is the one making the plays. He's the one, setting everything up, and then they just, but he's also the one breaking everything apart. Anytime that Mousetrap tries to do something, there's a Wrath knocking him up, silencing him.
Randy ult hits Benny. Monty's gonna go down.
Family actually does watch this. Funny you should say that. I actually have multiple family members watching this game, among many others who don't play the game, who are watching it. That being said, we're adults. I don't know about y'all. I mean, I'm not like some of y'all, but I'm. Yes, thank you, Julie, for hushing the haters. But yeah, I can curse. It's not a PG rated stream. It's just not a toxic, we flame each other just for fun stream. Because in no community should people just flame each other for fun. That's just not positive. And I know Navy's not an adult. He is a child. But that's why most of the time I, don't communicate with him. That being said, I will leave it at that. You all seem to. Thank you, Julie. Please
They
do
need to
that
get
on the
some
haters.
picks here. Serendi's.
They really need a pick on. I think the big one is Wrath. Wrath will be the easiest pick to make, and it's arguably the most impactful. The problem is it sticks Malone on Wrath. He's notorious for. He just knows where to be. He knows his damage outputs. He knows his cooldowns, and more than that, he knows what the enemy team can do. He knows with nothing but a Monty stun, like, he can do whatever he wants as long as he doesn't blatantly go kill himself. Which, I mean, he's died twice, and both of those were really nice plays, but...
Oh, that stun didn't connect.
That
was
hurts.
rough, yeah.
It was the right idea, though. He saw Wrath double jumping. He saw that Wrath was going to drop down and that it would be a free stun. Sadly, Monty interactions are finicky, and that's partially why we see free Shard of Solace always take knockup, because it's not finicky. It will always knock up as long as it's in the hitbox. Whereas Shockwave, yeah, sometimes it makes super impactful plays that you could never get from the Shockwave, but you know, it's just not as reliable. That grenade was entertaining.
I saw that.
Exploded. It exploded in midair.
Did you take nade on nades or was it flame?
No. It just doesn't leave napalm on the ground if it explodes in midair.
Oh wow. That's
well, it will if it's like within a couple like inches of the ground, but if it's like feet up in the air, it doesn't leave napalm.
Oh, this on a marquee.
This could be it.
God.
This could be a play. This could be the comeback. Nice knock up by Monty, but sad thing is Benedict's retreating from the Wrath, so he couldn't.
Yeah, they should get Wrath here. They should definitely get Wrath.
Oh yeah, Wrath will die. I think the Oscar ult could have been a little bit earlier, but beyond that, I mean, that was a very well played, and you know they're definitely coming alive here.
Yep.
They've hit the power spikes they need. Benedict
Ooh,
is 7,
Rendy
Oscar
needs to
7.
go here.
Nice stun on Arendi, but the Hawkeye focus is Boulder. That's rough. Plus Biko was on the Arendi, so I don't know that there was much kill pressure there, but Benedict actually took a surgical strike at 7. I mean, I'm okay with that, but I mean, I guess especially if you're, you know, very accurate and you feel like you need the kill pressure, but it is a bit risky too. Yeah, his rockets are hitting for 364 apiece right now.
Yeah, I see that. Oh, Randy barely hit him.
Deleted. I was first personing that. He didn't think he was getting hit by that. Just either that or he knew he was
just
dead
barely hit him.
Just,
yeah, they just barely.
Yeah, there was no
hit him at the end of
counterplay
it.
even if he did.
Yeah. They had the push, but there was no poke on the sentry. But it couldn't make any more picks.
Yeah.
I think that's the problem of having Amber over Alani right now. I think Amber is just there for keeping Monty alive, but...
Yeah, Amber's literally just a budget Miko that doesn't have a stun.
Yeah. I think with very little CC, I think Alani would have helped better here. Then again, then
for sure, yeah, because where we were questioning, you know, can Boulder even die?
Yeah.
If you have a geyser to follow up, he definitely dies.
Alright, Randy almost killed Benny again.
Monty might die through his ult. No, he should be alright. Amber got on him, but that looked a little hairy there for a minute. I like that the Ernest slow egg is right beside the accelerator that's also slowing. I feel like that's a bit redundant.
Order where Randy hasn't died.
Yeah, I mean, the Arendi's a bit surprising because they've had some really nice stuns on her. I think part of it is the damage just hasn't been together. Like, they've all been doing good damage. They just, it hasn't been on the same target at the right time. Yeah, I think that they're looking at this as like one of their only chances at, you know, pulling it back. They need to make some plays. And I mean, I'm cool with it, but nice lift off there. Knowing that Arendi's going to have to move her camera too quickly to hit damage.
Firestorms for Boulder. But it's just, I still pick the slow because...
honestly, yeah, I didn't notice that, but yeah, it lowers your kill pressure so much. Like, I understand, like,
it's just
I can do more damage.
It's just Miko with Boulder, it's too strong against a Firestorm.
I mean, not to throw shade, but that's straight up Blood Shadow. Blood Shadow fucking loves that augment, and it's just not the right augment. You lose so much DR. It's not worth. And the slow, especially with... Yeah, especially against this. Yeah, the slow helps set up so much. Like, I mean, sometimes your DPS characters can get an extra 300, 400 damage off purely from the slow. They don't need a stun necessarily when it's an Oscar and a Benedict. But like, especially when Wrath, like, Wrath probably has the move speed now when his shield goes down. There's no way you're gonna kill him even when he's low. Yeah, he does. Even when he's low, without the slow, like, yeah, you did an extra 100 damage or 200 damage from the Firestorm, but just not worth.
2 minutes here. Bloodshot team has to push for 2 centuries here to win it.
It is possible. It is
Not
possible,
winning.
but
Yeah.
they need a pick into
They
another
need to keep
pick
Monty
into
alive.
them
Monty's
just
just
destroying
ooh.
Sentry.
Yeah, Monty's gonna die.
Ooh. And he's going to be down a good majority of the game left. They're going to chase down the Wrath, but he's in the garage already. They don't have kill pressure. Umbra had 1 HP from Kevlar. She literally had 1 HP.
This is probably the end.
Yeah, this is well, yeah. Because even if they run straight to Sentry even if all of Free Shard of Souls was dead right now and they all ran to Sentry, they just don't have the damage to kill 2 Sentries this quickly. Like, they'd need Oscar Mike 10, which they don't have. And Oscar Mike's trying to back to base in doubles. And while he did successfully back to base, it's not going to matter. Yeah, they were already trying to dive Sentry. And the teabag, I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, I saw it through the wall. I just looked at Marquis. I wasn't gonna.
I mean, I feel like it's a bit appropriate. I mean, it's the end of the season. Like,
Oh, Monty's
I'm okay with
destroyed.
teabagging. Yeah, they're all taunting now.
Yeah.
Wait, is that really the best Terendi taunt he has? That's
Yeah.
what? That's so sad. Sorry, I'm a stickler for Terendi taunts. Like, there's 3 good ones, and that one's not one of them.
Oh, this Boulder sees Oscar. Yeah. Oscar's gonna die.
I don't think Oscar could do it by himself, anyways.
Oh, he's gonna die.
What? Well, he's got to go through the accelerator. That feels bad. Oh wait, he cut back.
He's gonna die.
Fucking AoE
The
X.
Marquis came back. The whole team came.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, because that's their only chance at winning would be that.
Yeah. Good effort from Mousetrap.
Good effort.
I think 1 and 2 they gonna execute. This one, I think.
I mean, game 1 was definitely their strongest game. I almost feel like they should have just gone back to that and said, we can execute this better. Like, it was just the only thing that held them back in the first game was not ending it fast enough.
Yep.
Beyond that, they played it perfectly. Like, I loved what they did in the first draft. Say, we're going to take it to them. We're going to, like, because I think that's the only way you take down Free Shard of Solus is
Early game.
really, like, yeah, early game and not only early game, but playing, like, in a style that they can't be practiced against. Like, if you try to match them at their own game, you won't win.
Yeah.
On a player-to-player basis, you're just not going to be as good as them. But if you go in with an idea that, like, we can, not out draft, but like just out strategize them, that's the way to beat them. Full dive comps, stuff that's not meta. That's them in my mind, is just have a solid game plan, know what your win condition is, and play to your win condition. And, I mean, they definitely put in a great effort. I mean, it was a great season from them in general. They should definitely walk away with their heads held high. Like, this is a really solid team, and it shouldn't feel bad to lose to them one bit. But, it is what it is.
Randy and Marquis was fighting for damage there. That's pretty high for both of them. And, it wasn't enough CC for Mousetrap to execute for the secure.
Yeah.
Too many chickens.
they needed
too
more
many
kill
birds.
secure, like
Too
more.
many birds on the same team.
Yep. Well, I mean, two, but I mean, I would have been fine with the two. Well, actually, no, you can't have the two birds on the same team. I do agree with that because neither of them can crit, and like, so you have to take a character like Oscar with them, and then you don't have enough CC. Unless somehow your Ernest is like a god at knocking people into your base. If that's the case, then you use him like a Galt and just knock people into your base the whole game. I'd like to see that next season. Someone one-trick Ernest from now until the next season starts and just come in knocking people everywhere, like intentionally the whole time. That would be hilarious and awesome.
Mika barely out healing Umbra there.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah,
that is really good, but I mean, part of that is sunspots going to minions. Did you look at the actual healing received on Umbra's team is only 118k. So, I mean, it still
GGs.
is close, 118 to 131 Miko to Umbra, but yep, GG's. Appreciate you streaming it with me, Zig. It's always a good time hanging out with you.
You want to see game 2 and 3? Watch the latest podcast. If you want to see game 1, watch the first 2.
Game 1 is mostly on the first broadcast. Yeah, I mean, and blame Xbox Live for that. I mean, Xbox Live is very stable all the way up until it's not, and then it's just really bad. Like, you know, they were just having issues today. It's been all over the internet, like just, you know, mains like core services down and stuff. But anyways, GG's to both teams. Great seasons to both teams, and hopefully we see a whole bunch of y'all viewers out there next season. And definitely keep an eye out for Scouting Ground starting.
Yep.
Hey, I just want to say GG's to Mousetrap. Really fun finals there. Thank you guys for casting. It's really good to be able to have people coming in and out and cast, so we don't have to, you know, hope someone can always do it. So it's really nice that we get many people, and gotta do it. Gotta be toxic. This is a team that accused and wanted me to ban one of my teammates for mouse and keyboard. He did not use mouse and keyboard. He proved it was hand cam. They never apologized, and this is all I have to say to them.
Yes, that. Well, you heard it from the man himself. That being said, I mean, he's not unfounded. Like, I mean, I completely agree. Like, I understand where they're coming from initially. It started as a joke though, and then it turned into all of a sudden everyone just believed it because one person said it.
Of the season.
And then,
before the season.
Yeah, and it was at the beginning of the season. Yeah, and like everyone just started saying it, even though everyone knew it wasn't true. And then he proved it wasn't true. Spent his own money and his own time and effort to set up a hand cam to prove that it wasn't true, and people are still talking shit this whole game.
Honestly, I don't think you can hook up mouse and keyboard on Battleborn like that.
You can't. There's literally like a total of like 3 games on Xbox that work with a mouse and keyboard, and it's purely because like you mod your Xbox to do that. Which if Xbox Live finds out that you do that, you can no longer play on Xbox Live. So it wouldn't even be worth the risk on a game with this small of a player base. Like he doesn't give a shit. Like about he's really good, but it's only because he's put in the time. Like it has nothing to do with some unfair advantage.
Yeah.
And if you still deny it, like if y'all are still butthurt about it or whatever, like, you know, get over it. He's a great player. He's proved that he can be a great player with with the controller, by using a camera. Like I would have never done that if somebody said, look, oh, you use mouse. I would have never fucking gone out of my way to prove it. They can suck a dick. I'm playing Xbox. I'm using an Xbox controller. Like,
have you seen
Manly's
picture? Gamer picture?
I actually didn't. I don't even think that was that toxic, Mozzie. Like honestly,
no, it wasn't.
I mean, that was completely justified in my mind. Because I mean, especially the fact that they've never apologized. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, they're also not the type to apologize.
Good to see a good season overall. I think this is probably the most successful season as spite of how many teams got dropped out and how many teams entered. But overall, there was just so many fantastic games, and between me and you, Cooper, that was a very good mini playoff games we had.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it. I mean,
that was by far my
and
favorite. For like
they were really good matches. Yeah, I mean, when we went to 5 games, you can't ask for more than that. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a great season all around. You know, I've played with you on my team in past seasons, played against you this season. It's always a joy. And hopefully, you know, next season we can, you know, make it just as successful, hopefully more successful. You know, hopefully we get even more players. And, you know, nobody be discouraged by this because we want all levels of players to be in the league. The only way that there is competition is if there's players from all walks of life and all levels of competition, and we all, you know, you have to put in the time to get good, but the best way to put in the time is to be playing against the best.
So if y'all, anyone watching interested joining the league or might be looking into it and reading chat and see, just look up Battleborn Competitive League, and the gamer picture is like a diamond. You can join. You can message anyone in this people in this lobby. Mozzie and Florida are the hosts of the league, and we might see season 5. We don't know, but we're debating about it, and I hope to see you all there. And that, any final words, Coop?
No, just keep an eye out for season 5. Keep an eye out for scouting grounds. We'll hopefully see you next season.
All right. Been Mini Cooper and Siberian, and signing off.
Yep.